Talk 49.
I'm going to call this morning's interview Flight of Fancy. We're talking all about pigeon fancying, and my guest is Carlos Mazario, who's come all the way from Spain to talk to us today. Good morning, Carlos. Welcome to Radio Orange.
Hello, Nigel. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to your program.
Thank you very, very much for getting up so early. Carlos, you are a pigeon fancier. Please tell us what a pigeon fancier is.
Yeah, a pigeon fancier is the person who breeds racing pigeons as a hobby in order to race with these pigeons in different championships. So, yeah, this is what a pigeon fancier does.
You make it sound so easy. A pigeon fancier is somebody, I suppose you have women pigeon fanciers too, do you?
It's not so common, but yeah, there are some of them that are also pigeon fanciers, yeah.
Okay, so pigeon fanciers are people who breed pigeons. How do you breed pigeons?
Yeah, it's pretty easy, you know. The pigeons at the end breed pretty easy. And you had to have a couple of pigeons to start with this kind of hobby or sport. So it's pretty easy. You only have to make them breed, and that's all. But if there is a couple of pigeons, finally it's pretty easy to breed with them. So yeah, it's not a big problem.
It's quite easy.
Yeah.
But you can't just take any pigeon. You can't catch one in the Stadtpark and put it in a box. What kind of pigeons are best for pigeon fancying pigeons?
Okay, in this case we are talking about a special pigeon. This pigeon is not like a pigeon that we can see on the streets in a city, for example. This pigeon is a little bit different. It's bigger. It has more muscles, and the colors are also a little bit different, because when you see this band of pigeons fly, you can see that they are more shiny on the sky. They reflect better the light of the sun, and you can distinguish that this pigeon is special and is different from the normal one. Yeah.
Are they maybe a little bit bigger than a normal pigeon?
Yeah, this pigeon is a little bit bigger. You can look for it in Google, and you will realize that the pigeon is totally different from the pigeon of the street. It's bigger. The nose are bigger than the normal pigeon. The muscles are strong or bigger than the other one. The wing is also bigger than the normal pigeon, and yeah, in general the shape of the pigeon is more stylized and is a little bit different. Yeah, it's a kind of pigeon that was made because mixing different bloodlines from different kind of strains of pigeons. So finally you obtain this racing pigeon that is made because mixing breedings and bloodlines.
Very, very interesting. You come from Spain. Where did you grow up, Carlos?
Yeah, I born in Madrid, in the city center, and but I had my love in a small village in the south of Madrid.
Okay, you have your pigeon loft in a small village south of Madrid. You're a city boy. How did a city boy get into pigeon fancying? How did you become interested in this?
Yeah, maybe I am a little bit strange or rare, but that's true that I was pretty interested in history, and then I started to read about the Second World War. And I realized that in some of the pictures that I saw related with this topic, soldiers with pigeons in a backpack. And I started to feel interested about what is going on with this pigeon, why it's so special, why this soldier is carrying this pigeon. And then I start to read and I realize, oh, those are racing pigeons. The racing pigeon come back to the home where they born. So then I felt interested about it, because reading about it, about the Second World War, I realized that these pigeons saved a lot of lives, because sometimes the soldiers were trapped in an ambush or whatever, and they couldn't go out. And finally, with these pigeons, they can put a note on his leg, release the pigeon, and then this information about the position and so on arrives to the headquarters, and then this possibility allows that the other soldiers come to rescue the others. And yeah, I feel pretty interested because of this fact, and that's the reason why I start to feel more and more interested in pigeons, in racing pigeons.
You became interested in pigeon fancying, racing pigeons, because of your interest in history. You have made history. You are the Spanish pigeon champion, I think.
Well, not national champion. It's a champion from my province in Madrid. Yeah, that was a few years ago. But yes, it was. I was very happy because of this, because it reflects the effort that you dedicate to your pigeons to make them healthy, to train them, feed them properly. And finally, when you win the championships, it's like all your efforts is reflected in this. So yeah, I felt pretty proud about this achievement. Yeah,
A great achievement.
yeah.
A champion needs training. How do you train your pigeons, Carlos Mazario?
Yes, this is not too different from, for example, a human athlete, because the athletes has to train little by little until they get the fit to make the race or whatever. For the pigeons, is the same. You have to start with them little by little, release the pigeons from a short distance, 5 kilometers, then 15 kilometers, 12, 50, and then the pigeon with this kind of trainings get the shape, and the muscles are stronger than before, and this allows the pigeon to come back to home properly.
To allow the pigeons to come home properly. Carlos, when do you know when the pigeons are ready to go in for a big competition?
Yeah, you know it because, you train these pigeons from this distance. You know that when the pigeon come back from 50 kilometers, they already know how to fly properly, how to orientate properly. And then you also can take the pigeons and see if the muscles are okay. The general condition of the pigeon is fine, and then you can think about to make the official race with the pigeon, because you know that is in shape and he can do it for sure. Yeah.
What are the longest distances in pigeon racing?
Yeah, in Madrid we had championship from different kind of distance, but the longest one was 1,000 kilometers. Yeah.
1,000 kilometers, that's roughly the distance between Vienna and London. And your pigeons fly 1,000 kilometers, not without stopping. Tell us how it works.
Yeah, with this long distance, we release the pigeons. For example, in the case of Madrid, more or less from Africa, in Safi, Rabat, Safi, these kind of cities. And then the pigeon has to come back. Then once the pigeon is coming back to home, obviously it's impossible to do it in one size in a row. The pigeon stop a little bit in the middle of the race, just to rest a little bit and to drink a little bit of water or just rest, and then the pigeon continue flying until it arrives at home. Yeah.
You say the pigeons continue flying, but how do pigeons know the way to go, if you understand what I mean?
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting question because the pigeon knows how to orientate through different kind of ways. It depends because they have different methods. The first one is because of the position of the sun. They can orientate because of this. Then they have magnetite next to his nose, and this allows the pigeon to orientate through the magnetic field of the earth. And then they use a lot their memory. They have pigeons is incredible, but they have a big memory. They can memorize thousands of pictures in his brain. And when you release the pigeon for the first time in one place, for sure they don't know what is around of them. So they start to orientate with the magnetic field, I will say. And then the first time is takes more time for the pigeon to come back because they have to orientate with this system. But then after the first release from this point, the pigeon come back faster because he already memorized the route to come back to home. Memorize, for example, the highway or different paths or mountains that are bigger, and the pigeon memorizes this and knows perfectly how to come back. And also with the position of the sun, if it's in the morning or it's in the afternoon, they can establish like mathematics, angles and so on, and they know how to come back because of this position of the sun. And it's pretty curious because now the science don't know exactly how the pigeon orientate. We have the theories. Obviously, they know that they use this kind of magnetite and they orientate because of the sun, but they don't know the mechanisms about how it performs this kind of method to come back to home. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting right now.
Interesting. So the chickens, the pigeons orient. Let's say they're on a 1,000-kilometer race. They must get very, very hungry. What do pigeons eat?
Yeah, this is also pretty interesting because pigeons are athletes. So you have to feed them as an athlete. Depending of the distance of the race, you feed them with different kind of seeds. The pigeon only eats seeds, and maybe only few vegetables, but the main diet is from the seeds. And for example, for long distance, we gave them seeds with lot of fats in order to have reserves to deal with this distance and this lot of time flying. And for the short distance, we give them seeds, but with high content in carbohydrates, for example. So they can obtain the energy quicker in order to be more explosive and arrive at home faster.
Speed is very, very important. Speed is very important. Tell me one thing. How do you know when they have got home? Or you can see them, of course. But what happens at the end of the race so the pigeons actually land where they should land? And how do you know?
Yeah, when the pigeon arrive from a championship, it's like they arrive to overloft. You see that it's incredible because the feeling to see the pigeon come back and fly around the loft and then to land on the loft is an incredible feeling. But then once the pigeon arrives, the pigeon has a ring on one of his legs, and then the pigeon has to go over a sensor of this chip, and once the pigeons go through this sensor, it's like the time is registered in our clock, and that's what we had to demonstrate that the pigeon arrived during a championship. Then this information from our clock, because we are racing with different fanciers, we collect the data in our mother clock in our club, and then we elaborate the list with the results of the championship. So it's pretty curious because this is the last step, because the first step is before the race, you have to register the pigeon in this mother clock in order to know officially that this pigeon is competing or racing in this championship. And then when the pigeon arrives, register again in this clock, your own clock, and then you have the results ready to make this list of results for the championship.
How many pigeons are in a race normally? I mean, in one race, can you put 3 or 4 pigeons or 10 pigeons? How does that work?
Yeah, it's curious because at the beginning for the short distance, we can basket like 3,000 pigeons from different fanciers. So I basket all my pigeons because the first races you use it to train a little bit more your pigeons. But then that's true that in the first races from 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers, you can release like 3,000 pigeons, and it's pretty impressive because there are videos on YouTube. You can look for it, and you can see a big band of pigeons on the air, and it's like it's incredible to see. Very beautiful.
It's a wonderful hobby, wonderful sport. But of course, you're living in Vienna now. You live in Vienna. Who's looking after your pigeons now?
It's my father right now. Is in Madrid taking care of the pigeon. This is a pretty interesting story because at the beginning I was only me interested on it, but then my father starts to come with me to this hobby, to go to the championship and so on, and I felt pretty interested in this kind of hobby. And now he's taking care of the pigeons. He's taking care of train them and feed them and clean the loft also. And at the moment I would like to continue with him, but I am here and I cannot deal with it. So I had to thank my father to take care of the pigeon right now, because if not, it would be impossible, of course.
Training pigeons, you need a teacher, I would imagine, somebody who can tell you how to do it and all these things. Have you got a mentor? Is there somebody who's important to you?
Oh, yes. I started very young in this hobby with 13 years old and so on. And at the beginning, I didn't know nothing about the sport. I only know that the pigeon come back to home, but that's all. I didn't know that if you have you get an old pigeon to your loft and you release the pigeon is not going to come back. So at the beginning, it's difficult because I had this bad experience. I received some pigeons from a friend of my father that they have racing pigeons. I received this like 3 couples of pigeons, and after 1 month or 2 months, I released the pigeon, and 4 of them already gone. And yes, I didn't know that. So I started to read a little bit more about the topic, and I found the Madrid Federation of Racing Pigeons, and then I contact with one fancier in Madrid, and it's Manuel Moran. I had to to say hello to him if he's listening to me now. He was my mentor during that moment. He explained almost everything about the pigeon, that you cannot release the pigeon when the pigeon is old. You have to breathe with them before, and you can only release the pigeon if the pigeon already born in your loft. So he was telling me details about the sport, and finally I was the champion of Madrid, so I had to say thanks to him, because he is a very good friend and also a very good mentor, for sure. Yeah.
A very good friend and a very good mentor. You say you can only send out pigeons that were actually hatched in your loft, born if you want. So your pigeons probably have the same feeling as your children in a way. Do you become emotionally attached to your pigeons?
With some of them, of course, yes. I mean, at the beginning you have 80 pigeons to make championship. For sure you have a relationship with them that is pretty close, and you have feelings. You feel sad if you lost one of them, but I feel more. I have more feelings, or I have more love for the pigeons that are old, that they were already with me during 3 or 4 years of competition. And of course, if I lose one of them, the feeling that they have is horrible, because you already been with them during a lot of time. So it's like a son. That if you lost your son, is horrible, for sure.
So you have feelings of sadness.
Exactly.
Feelings of happiness. You're in Austria. Can you do this sport from Vienna too? Can you build a loft, or is there a club in Austria for this?
In Austria there are fanciers. I realize that there are fanciers, but it's not as here is not as common as in Belgium or the Netherlands, because in Belgium and the Netherlands is like the center of this hobby, of this sport. They breed the best pigeons in the world, and they sell the pretty expensive pigeons to different parts of the world, to Qatar, so it's amazing. And here in Austria there are fanciers, but not a lot of fanciers. I would say that in Spain we have more. Obviously, Spain is a bigger country, but yes. Yeah, in Austria is located not in the city center, it's in the nearby, in different villages. And yes, they also race with pigeons, and I think they have a pretty good pigeons, because they are more closer to this Belgium, to Netherlands, and they obtain a very good pigeons. Yeah.
So Vienna is very close to Belgium. That's very good. So being a pigeon fancier has its sad moments, its fun moments, its happy moments. It's everything. And a very quick question, what can happen to pigeons on their way home so they don't come home? What are the biggest dangers?
Yeah, as we don't have to forget that this is, at the end, they are racing in a natural environment. So as any other bird or wild pigeon, they can be hunted by falcons. This is one of the biggest problems when we raise the pigeons, that we release the pigeons, but this band or group of pigeons is too big and attract a lot of predators like falcons. And yeah, this is one of the biggest problems for the sport, but it's normal. At least you are racing with this pigeon in an environment that is natural, and of course you have to think about this, because I think it's natural, of course. And then you have another kind of problems, that the hunters in the middle of the race, they can hunt your pigeon, but we try to avoid this, because we raise the pigeons during the season that is not hunting period. So yeah, this problem is less common, I would say.
Problems which are less common, But basically, you're a very happy pigeon fancier, Carlos Mazario, all the way from Spain. Carlos, you want to say hello to your mum, I think.
Oh, of course. I would like to say hello in Spanish if I can.
Please do, please do.
Bueno, pues mando un saludo a mi madre que me estará escuchando ahora desde Colmenar, desde aquí, desde Radio Orange en Viena. Un saludo también para Tania, que estará en el laboratorio, para mi padre en el ministerio y para mi hermana y Edu, que estarán ahora mismo trabajando. Un saludo muy grande desde aquí. Y nada, espero que os haya gustado. That's all.
Is there anyone else you want to say hello to?
No, I only say hello to my family and...
In Spanish?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I forgot. Un saludo también para el club, nuestro Club Columbus en Madrid. Un saludo para Javier Lecuberri y Manuel Morán. Recuerdo desde aquí de Viena. No olvido el deporte. That's all.
That's all. So this Radio Orange has now become truly international. We're speaking Spanish too. Carlos Mazario, thank you very, very much for speaking to us this morning. Thank you very, very much indeed.
Thank you very much to give me the opportunity to talk here about this hobby. And yeah, thank you, Nigel.
Thank you very much indeed.
Talk 49.